before anybody gets the idea that I'm going to knock Raw, the Raw that contained the greatest Raw segment, the epitome of a Raw segment of all time, baby. Or we'll discuss where it ranks.
Wow.
I'm not going to knock the whole show. I'm just going to knock almost everything else besides that. Because if people that loved that, it may have, if that hadn't been on this show, would we have had a contender for all-time stink bomb?
If that hadn't been on the show, I probably would have called you at around 11 and said, hey, can we just record tomorrow? There's nothing really happening. Let's just wait till tomorrow. There's nothing to talk about.
There's more violence on the Oscars these days than there is. Remember Raw is War when they came up with that, when somebody realized that Raw written backwards is war and they were having a promotional war. It was the greatest, oh, duh. But Raw is War was great, right? Raw is Talk at 3 hours is, we're going to go through this. We're going to go through this. Keep me succinct if I drone on as long as some of this programming did. But again, the overarching theme of this discussion on this program is going to be again proven what we've been saying is that the stars, the entrances, and the drama is what they have put the emphasis on in this company to the point where that's the only thing people care about that are coming to watch this, and the matches are getting in the fucking way. And go ahead.
Too many matches with people that fans don't care enough about.
Well, on this show, I wouldn't even say too many matches. There was some people I didn't care about, but I'm going to break this down for you. But we start with star power. And again, I know that there's been injuries involved and et cetera, and it's the WrestleMania season. The stars would come back anyway, but they're getting as many stars back as they can get back. And Edge and Beth Phoenix come out right at the top of the program, and they're over. And I love Beth did her pose and she got in the ring, but Edge said, fuck it. Again, I'm standing Steve in Memphis because nobody's in a rush on this program to get in the ring and start talking. They know they got all the time in the world. So he's doing selfies with the crowd and handshakes and glad handing, but he's over.
He slapped her on the ass twice. After the second time, she said, don't do that again.
I didn't see that. I was jotting things down. I didn't see that. Well, maybe twice was enough. And then they did a VTR package where they told the story from last October with the VTR package, or last October on, where Edge had quit within the I Quit match because Rhea had Beth at her mercy and was going to smash her head with a chair and then smashed her head with a chair anyway. And then Edge and Beth come back at the Rumble, so we're up to date on that.
Meanwhile, they're standing in the ring, though. I mean, you said it like they weren't just introduced with their music playing, and then they get like a 1.5-minute video package, and they're just standing in the ring waiting for it to end.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's better than the people that come out and do their entrance before the break, and then the package, and then the fucking announcer on camera, and et cetera, and have to stand there for 5 minutes or more. Remember, we counted 12 minutes one time. Somebody was out there, was just standing there. But again, if we'd have put on a live event like this 25 years ago, the people would have asked for their money back. But now it's accepted because they know they're going to see a television show shot rather than, again, whether you like it or not, in the Attitude Era, which is what everybody, refers back to, the people going to see Raw live knew they were going to see some shit right there in front of them go down, right? There's going to be some chaos. Well, this is a lot of entering and a lot of standing there while VTRs play on the screen and a lot of in-ring promos. And again, if we'd done that years ago, but now this is what the show is. It's almost become the South Park WTF Federation, with the spotlight and the curtain opens and then the scene begins. Yeah, all right. Let's continuing. Edge is in the ring doing a promo about Judgment Day. And he said, of course, he started it, so it's his fault. He wanted to elevate talent, and it worked. They're all bigger stars, but obviously didn't work for him. But when he mentioned all the names, did you notice Ripley got the pop?
I didn't expect that, actually.
He mentioned Finn Balor's name. He mentioned Damian Priest's name. He mentioned and there was the noticeable pop.
And Dominic got the booze. I noticed.
And
that
Dominic,
too.
yeah, and he kind of sloughed off with Dom, which you should, because that thing is working. But anyway, he told the story at Edge, as we mentioned. He does it well and naturally. He's got inflection. He's got cadence, as Dutch Mantell used to call it, where he's not just robotically delivering memorized lines. He has some emotion and passion in it where you think he's trying to mean it. And then Beth, broke in and started to make a challenge and Judgment Day music. And here comes Dominic and Damian and Finn. No Ripley. She's doing traveling the world or whatever, doing publicity. But again, as soon as Dominic speaks, people are on him. He's talking about, I've done a hard time. That whole thing, you pussy. They've hit on the, even though it was an unbelievable angle which led to him going to jail, that's not in front of him every week, the people. What's in front of him is him crying like a fucking pussy because he was in jail for fucking 3 hours or whatever the case. So the fans are all over him, but then... And I always like Priest promos, and he's got a man's voice. And he started talking and started trying to challenge for something and got lost and couldn't remember the name of the Elimination Chamber and thought it was Money in the Bank, but cut himself off. And I felt so bad for him. And then he just said, Edge, I hate you so bad that I can't even think.
I can't even talk. I can't even talk. I'm so mad. I can't even speak. That was something to watch live because it became quickly apparent that he was struggling, and it was seconds, but it felt like it was going on for a while.
Yeah. Oh, I guarantee it was 3 years for him because I'm laughing because I identify, and it's live TV, and I've seen people do it, and I've done a bit of it. I don't know if I've ever gone that far around the bend before, but. It will, or even when you're just in the segment and somebody else is doing it, time just suddenly slows down, and then suddenly it's, oh my God. But anyway, Edge he jumped back in and got him back on track. But I still wasn't at that point aware of exactly what they were asking for. So then thankfully, Beth was able to bring some clarity to us when she said that Ripley wasn't there tonight because she speared her soul out of her body last week and she came to beat her ass. But not here. If it can't be here, how about Edge and Beth against Finn and Rhea at the Elimination Chamber? And I agree with that because Finn's got to be there to do the job. And I bet you he can at least remember the name of the show. So the promos will be all right. But then Judgment Day says, okay, if you make it to the Elimination Chamber. And okay, there's nothing the matter with the dramatic foreshadowing, and they start menacing around the ring. It was a little slow motion menace. But then the Priest and Finn jumped Edge, and Beth chased Dom out of the ring. And here comes, music and all, Daryl Dawkins of the Street Profits. And he fucking comes down and clotheslines Priest out, and Edge hits the spear on Finn, and then Dominic's run back, but Montez Ford comes out and chucks him into the ring. And Beth, I'd forgotten, that's Jane Cargill stole the Glam Slam for her finish from Beth. That's her finish from years back, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Well, Beth gave Dom the Glam Slam, which is now, I guess, the Jane Cargill clomp or whatever it is. And boom. And we go to the break with all the excitement, but we're 16 minutes into the program. And only 2 or 3 of that was Damian Priest trying to remember the name of the... It got to point across. It wasn't as laborious as it would get later on. But it seems like that nobody... Again, when I first got into business, one of the first things that you were told when you were doing television was, do you know how valuable television time is? Every minute you get, if you had to buy a minute on TBS on Saturday night at 7:30, or if you had to whatever, so make it count when you're on television, on your promos, or if you've got a squash match, you've only got 3 or 4 minutes or less or whatever. Do your shit, get over, right? And it seems like that nobody's in any urgency to get to a point or to even put enough energy in these things. Nobody really comes out fucking fighting mad. They have to go through 10 minutes of back and forth that the writers have apparently prepared that makes all this make sense somehow. Instead of showing some fucking emotion, getting to the goddamn point and getting something done before people get tired of listening to you drone on, and then get a goddamn match in the ring if they want to see. And then repeat that procedure over and over. Instead of the fucking goddamn, it's like a play in 3 1-hour acts practically. Am I just grumpy because I've watched 3 hours of talk to see the one greatest segment in the history of the show?
I think it's just you're used to what Raw is and what SmackDown is. I mean, both shows, this is 3 hours as opposed to 2 hours, but they're formatted the same kind of way. And it's easy to get sick of this kind of wrestling if you watch it a couple times in a row.